Good afternoon. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. I am still listening to the God Pod referenced in the last video and in this blog article. This is part 2. I want to say that God and Jesus, I really appreciate the way they are discussing together the next election. It would be like me discussing the election with I don't have anybody else because God in the God Pod this is going to sound terrible. I can't help it after what I've been through. But God the Father's position is what I wish my dad's would have been. And I have a feeling as far as Gen X, there's like millions of us that wished our parents had been liberal Democrats for everything that got us Social Security, everything that got us Medicare, everything, all of that. Those that are pro our programs for the common people, we would want those people to be the government. Because those people do appreciate the billionaire and millionaire class. They just don't give into the bullshit where the billionaire and millionaire class are the elitists that should be in charge. They don't give into the rhetoric of what happens with the Electoral College and with gerrymandering and all of that. I'm not saying those are Republicans. I'm not saying those are Democrats. I am saying that Social Security and Medicare and everything are Democratic, in this day and age, are Democratic Party concepts. You're not going to see the Democrats trying to push through reducing our benefits. You're going to see them trying to increase the common person's benefits and not increase our taxes. Somehow, some way, Bernie Sanders is who I'm talking about. A very strong senator. If you've read his book, you know how much he had to fight to be in the position he's in. We've lost some of our senators, like, oh gosh, I can't remember those gentlemen's dear names. Elijah Cummings, I think, and they look like twins, but they weren't. John Lewis and Elijah Cummings, I think, are their names. We've lost some of the strong Democrats. Same voice, different states. So, what I wished my dad had been that. But saying that is the new me, because I did not think for myself. I wasn't allowed. You need to understand that. I didn't have a choice. I wasn't allowed to think for myself for years. And then I lost my entire support system being who I am now. The righteous, disciplined side of me knows that I need to have my past to be where I am. I know that. But in some other alternate universe that isn't what we have right now in the up and coming election, I wish God the Father, as he's talking, would have been my father all these years. And I wish that for every Republican, Christian, quote unquote, Protestant or Catholic child of Generation X, because we're the lost generation in the current day. That being said, God the Father and Jesus, how they talk is exactly all of my thoughts back and forth by myself, because I don't have someone older who has been a long-standing Democrat as my friend. I don't have that. All I have is people who are still smarting over the fact that we were Republicans and it was the wrong paradigm to be in this day and age. And now we have a criminal still able to run for president. Donald Trump shouldn't even be allowed. What form of the Constitution evolved is this justice within? There isn't one. It is glaringly obvious. We don't need amendments to the Constitution. We don't need a new Constitution. We need to acknowledge the evolution and the positivity of evolution of the Constitution and the amendments. And everybody can see and should do that. What we have is two parties, plus a lot of times they'll throw in a third party, screwing it up for the sake of popularity in social media at large, etc., etc. And we, the people, are controlled 100% of the time in that. And this is a great God pod. I feel identified. I feel like I belong, because in the political back and forth discussion of them, it's exactly where I am. I could be in the room agreeing with both of them and giving points, is what I'm saying. We wouldn't fight. We might disagree with each other, which they do. See, I don't even know what it is to be able to have a respectful disagreement, but not be an all-out war verbally. I don't have that in my life, and I never did. I'm a girl already, Gen X. You don't have free will in the Protestant Catholic construct as me, and particularly if you're called, and I was, in Christian spiritual terms, if you were called to have a large family. That is an extremely miraculous story, how I was called to have a Christian, a large family in the Protestant church. And the Protestant church has ripped my entire life apart. And my daughters. Period. Misogyny is the Protestant church. The Catholic Church, it's slightly different. The bloodshed in both groups is the same, time-wise. Okay, across thousands of years. So, here's the problem with people in America. Your version of history is the problem. Is my version of history a problem? No, because I stand in the middle of the room. I can see myself standing in the middle of any room, universal room, agreeing with many perspectives. But also pointing a finger at your group if you're being assholes who just want to fight. Okay? Verbally, social media wise, in your churches, in all your shitty denominations and, sub-denominations, plus the Catholic Church, which y'all don't allow denominations, but never stopped you from not throwing the priests in jail who rape children. Okay, so this is video number 2. I appreciate the conversation. I could be sitting there agreeing with everybody and maybe having a few thoughts of my own, but honestly, those two guys, I've thought pretty much all through exactly everything they've said. I'm personally working on not worrying the fuck out of my heart beating in my chest right now. I already went through this, and when Donald Trump became president in 2016, and then I lost my whole publisher in 2017, and it was bad 4 years for me. It was a bad 4 years for me, even privately, because of some private loss of relationship that I will never get back. And one of the people that is primary in that narrative openly admitted 2017, well, why don't you go listen to all the statistics of marriages that struggled because of the differences in politics. See, misogyny is a real problem among Protestants, okay? It's causing way more issues than any man is ever going to admit, particularly in leadership of the Protestant church. There's just no humility. They have to be right. That's why there's so many denominations. Even within the denominations, they just keep breaking into groups. And then the breakups are horrendous. I've heard enough stories and experienced enough stories to tell you that. So it's a mess. But I appreciate the God Pod, and this is a new way of doing it. I'm going to try to, at some point, start, get really good at this and start transcribing right underneath my videos. I can't do that right now. I'm just going to have to let it go probably this next year because I'm in too much of a healing process and it's overwhelming. I just released a blog article on my main uncovernomore.blog that really gave me some direction, and honestly, going to where I was going today, listening to this God Pod, it really helped me land on my feet on my main, which is incredibly wonderful for me. So I want to thank them, all of them, that make that possible. And I want them to know to never question your voice. I'm going to be able to not question my voice as y'all stay doing what you're doing. You're giving Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More confidence in ways that are golden, are what I would say as Tara, the Archangel Tara, the New Jerusalem support here.